Hey guys, it's Eric here at Farpoint Restorations. Today we'll be taking a look at this Mucar 892 BT. I've taken a look at some of the other Mucar products and they're actually pretty darn good. Listen, before I get on to today's video though, I do want to mention I have a third channel, Farpoint Mowers and More. If you're into small engine repairs, yard equipment repairs, and reviews and maintenance, that's the place you'll want to head on over to check out content on that. Anyway, on to this. Let's go ahead and see what we got here. These folks did reach out to me. This is something they sent me. Just want to be transparent on that. 8-inch HD display with a new user interface, online services and remote assistance. Does do CAN, FD, and DOIP. Compatible with over 100 car brands and 100,000 vehicle models. And supports comprehensive functions including ECU, coding, and maintenance features. So let's go ahead and get this thing opened up. Let's see if I can peel this off or if I have to cut it. Yeah, it looks like I'll be able to pull that up. There we go. And get that out of the way. And we are ready to take a look. Cool. And it looks like it comes in like a soft-sided but like semi-rigid blow molded case here. So a case for it. Let's open this up. And I'll get the camera closer and we'll take a closer look. So here's what we got. It's our main unit. Nice actually. Oh, cool. All right, so we've got some things that I always like to see. And right off the gate, here's what I'm seeing, and that is a place to hang this thing, both to have it as a sitting tablet and a place to hang it off the back of the car. We also have a really strong magnet to hold. I mean, look at that thing, just wants to snap in there. That's a really strong magnet. I'm not sure how they're doing that without damaging the computer components, but hey, whatever, they got it figured out. What I'm not seeing is a camera back here, so no ability to take photos, it looks like, unless there's maybe one buried up here in the front. We'll have to see. Sides, just a nice grips. And then up on top, we do have a power button, USB, and USB-C. So I would imagine one of those is for charging and one of those is for data transfer. We do have a Ethernet cable. Packing list. And a quick start guide in color. That's kind of nice. Okay. Cool. All right. This is neat. Go ahead and get it out of the package and show you what this is. This is a USB to Ethernet connector, LAN port connector. So if you're going to do downloads or stuff like that where you need to have it direct connect, this gives you the ability to direct connect. Here we are here. You can see we can check our wireless goes into here. This plugs in and then our Ethernet will plug directly into that, allowing us the ability to do software updates, program updates. Okay, so this is kind of interesting that it does this stuff, but there's a lock here. You twist this off, get rid of that, move on to the US style charger. And now we have our USB charger. It does include, looks like, I don't even know what those are. I think that's Europe. I don't know what that one is, maybe Australia. So we do have that covered. And then lastly, a really fat USB to USB-C cable. Cool. All right, let me put all this stuff back in here for now. For today, we're just going to be messing with the primary functions of this unit. I won't be doing any programming or anything like that with it. But let's go ahead and set this off to the side and take a look at our main unit here. Slowly, carefully peel this off. There we go. Yeah, I got a little bit on there, but I'll work to get that off there. Usually you put a little bit of Windex on that. You can clean that tape off. Okay. All right, let's power this thing up and see what happens next. There we go. Crisp screen, that's for sure. Right out of the gate, I'm noticing that. And this being the first boot up, there will probably be some, installation and setup that has to go. I'm not talking about updates. I'm talking about updates for the actual tool itself, and probably some updates for the OS, the software, the Mucar software. All right, so we'll go ahead and do all this here. Wow, okay, well that was not, that wasn't hard at all, was it? I'm trying to hit X here, there we go. All right, so nothing to it, nothing to it. We're going to go ahead. We got a full charge. The time is not set right, but I can correct that. We'll go ahead and hook this thing up to a car outside, and we'll see what we can see. Let's do it. All right, well, here we are in the car. Today we're going to be screwing around with a 2000 Toyota Tundra, and we're going to go ahead and see if it can find it. And we are looking at a 16-pin OBD2 connector. And it's going to go out and see if it can automatically find that car. There we go. It is a Tundra. Let's hit OK. And it's going to scan this vehicle. This is a fairly simplistic vehicle, honestly, for a 2000 model. That's one of the reasons the Tundra, the first generation of Tundra, is so well loved. Much like the T100, it is a basic work truck, and that is what I love about them. So it is going to go in and do just a basic health check. It's going to check the computers and let me know what it sees, what might have faults, what might not have faults. This car, as far as I know, doesn't have anything going on with it currently, but we'll take a look and see if anything pops up. All right, so it does find all 4 systems on this particular car. Again, this isn't fancy. It doesn't have door modules, climate control module. It doesn't have all the crap. Makes it kind of simple, doesn't it? But it has found those in pretty good time. That took like, what, less than 30 seconds, ran through it. So I could write a report on this and send this. I can do a pre-scan, right? We can enter the VIN, license plate, mileage. All right, it's got a lot. All right, we'll just say it has that many, but that's not true. Customer name. And then here we go, shop information I have not entered in yet, as you can tell, but we could enter tech name, customer name, shop info. Here's the car, look at this. We can save it as a PDF, and there it is as a PDF, and that's it. And we could share that via email. There we go. We can Bluetooth it to our phone, or we can email it. In this case, I'll email, but I'm not hooked up to the internet yet, so there we go. All right, let's back out of that. And then let's get into the individual systems and see what we can do with those. So far, I'm really happy about how fast this stuff is going on this car. It does seem to get into these systems relatively quickly. It's amazing technology is so far. Like a scan tool like this would have cost, you know, $2,000 to $3,000 just a few years ago. All right, so data stream, we've got a bunch here we can get into. Accelerator position, let's see here, let's say AC signal cut out. We can take a look at calculated load. Coolant temp should be slowly rising. We'll look at some misfire, there shouldn't be any. Just did plugs on this not too long ago. AC clutch, engine speed. Oh boy, there's a lot. Injector duration. Fuel trim, and bank 1 sensor 1 and bank 1 sensor 2. Let's go with those, and here we are. So it's going to take a second. There we go. It starts to self-populate, and you can see our calculated load changing here, engine speed changing, fuel trim changing, right? Now I will say the reaction time on this computer for this is a little slower. Now I did pick 11 different items. Maybe if I picked less, the reaction time would be quicker. We can also show this as a bar graph. Okay, and let's pick another one here. This one, we can change that as well. Here's our RPM. I will say it's a decent lag. Like there's a second or two of lag time, but you got to remember, this is not aimed at the professional mechanic. This is aimed at somebody who's a advanced DIYer or a B-level tech, something where they're learning about this stuff but don't need it to be perfect. They're not being given the jobs that are just going to drive everyone crazy, right? So there's that there. Actuation test, I got the car running, so I'm not going to actually activate anything, but let's take a look at what's available as far as bidirectional controls on this car. And that's another thing that's huge, is that there's so many bidirectional controls available on mid-level scan tools now. right? Torque converter lockup, shift solenoid, lockup solenoid so we can check some stuff in the transmission, purge valve, vapor press valve, pressure valve, fuel pump, can we turn it on and off, relay, can we turn it on and off, AC cutoff, and air fuel control. So I mean, that's awesome. Injector volume too. Wow. Okay. So that's really cool. And then special function, let's see what we got in special function here. All right, we can check air O2 sensor levels. We can go into check mode where it sees if it's going to set one. We could do a hard reset. I don't recommend doing that. Your car will run funny for the next month while it relearns everything. Oil service light reset, manual throttle matching, and customized setting. Interesting. I'm not sure what that one means, but let's see what it says. Okay, so nothing to customize there. All right, cool. All right, so that's engine. Let's get into something like, let's take a look at SRS. I want to see what kind of live data we have here. Okay, so no live data on SRS because there's no passenger seat switches or anything like that. But let's see if there's anything available here as far as, nope, nothing special there. All right, let's get out of that. This car doesn't have analog brakes, so we can take a look at cruise, I guess. I'm not sure what we'll see there, but we can read the data stream on cruise control and take a look and see if sensors are spinning, right? So if we had a code for, say, like right rear wheel sensor, failure, we can actually verify that by looking at live data on the ABS as well. So nice little, I would say the goodies that this tool comes with is not bad at all so far. The fact that it has any bi-directional controls places it above and beyond. All right, so we have stoplight switch, cruise switch indicator. Let's take a look at those two. All right, and value is going to come up here in a second. I hit the stop, and there it goes. You can see it switched on. I let go, it's off. And cruise, if I turn that button, there it is, it's on. There it is, it's off. So I could diagnose a a cruise control system from the seat of my car, which is super nice, super nice. All right, let's get out of this altogether, and let's take a look at some of the other functions that this thing has. Yeah. Okay, so here's the main screen. You saw it while it was sitting on the desk. We have VIN search, but we have diagnosis, right? We can get into each system. Generic OBD2, which will show us readiness and whatnot. Then we have vehicle history, vehicle report, like the one I just saved, and feedback. So if you have an issue, that is where you want to go. So like, let's say you're working on this Tundra and one of the PIDs won't show. I don't know why, but the coolant temperature doesn't show up or it freezes or whatever. That's where you give them some feedback, let them know what's going on. And usually with the next update, they fix it up for you. There's a live feedback chat there. Then we can get into maintenance here, and we have the resets. I'll go through all these. Air, fuel, ABS. I don't even know what SCR is anymore. Headlight matching, ride height, SRS, key fob programming, battery matching, brake reset. It looks like another type of brake reset, or maybe brake bleed. DPF regen, ECU coding, EGR resets, throttle matching. I mean, it goes, and these are just the pictures, so I'm having a hard time with some of these pictures here, but looks like programming of some kind, injector coding, gear coding. I mean, it just goes. All right, tire light resets, window resets, not bad. Let's take a look at upgrades. Download and install the latest version of software. So I haven't even hooked this thing to the web. You can see it's zeroed out, but I'm sure there's a ton of updates for it, right out of the gate. And then we can have newer maintenance software. So if you're, for some reason, like, I don't know, 2025 BMW won't reset the oil light, download the update, it'll do that. And then what else we got? Settings here, we can get into the settings. Yeah, so we don't have anything right now. User information's empty. Here, time zone, I want the brightness all the way up if I can. There we go. Just so y'all can see it better on the screen here. Right, time zone, we have it set to Asia. Let's fix that to Eastern time. Let's see here, Pacific, Atlantic, South Georgia. Wow, where is this stuff? Oh, it's above it. That makes sense. There we go, America, New York. Okay, we'll back out of that. maintain, we can restore factory settings, and then we have an about, privacy policy, device info. That's always information you guys like to see. You have a 64 gig memory system, and 3.8 is free, so quite a bit. And of course, this is before updates, so it might be a little less afterwards, but system update, yeah, I can't do that because I'm not in it. All right, let's get out of settings. Let's see what else we got here. That's that. We know what that is. User manual. So we have a built-in e-manual for you if you want to read through that. Although, honestly, it's all so intuitive. It doesn't need that. Fault code library. If you want to look up, well, I'll show you like P0171 should be a lean code. Let's search that. Bank 1-2 lean, right? You can also go out on Google. Oh, I don't have it hooked up to the internet here, so. But you can go out, it'll open up a web browser and give you an idea so you can hunt down what's going on with your car. Coverage list, I mean, that list is probably endless. TPMS, right, we can use with a scanner and a TPMS tool. I'm going to make a video here shortly on programming with a TPMS programmer. I've got four sensors I'm going to replace and reprogram, so I'll make a video on that. But you can also do the same thing without a tire pressure sensor tool. You can use this tool. You get the codes, the hex codes off of the sensors you're going to install. You manually input them. It uploads them to the computer, matches them to your car, and ta-da, you've got brand new sensors. Google Chrome and other gadgets. Okay, so this is like, you can add stuff here, I would imagine, but Chrome is your number one thing. It's going to say that I don't have any. I'm not hooked to the internet, so it won't let me do that. But look, I mean, they're all there, right? They're all there. All right, let's exit out of that. Oops. All right. All right, and what else we got here? Remote assistance, if you want to get into that, that is definitely there. And then we have it like listed as a list, which I prefer the list, obviously, than the scrolling thing, but okay, so what doesn't it do? It is a locked system, right? It does not have any way of getting into the underlying Android system. And I don't know if I was able to find that. I don't think I was. I guess in the about, device info. Yeah, it doesn't say what version of Android is on the tool, but it's locked. So you can't add software. That being said, without the cameras, it wouldn't make for any good inspection tablet anyway. It's just a great mid-level OBD2 scanner, you know, a CAN bus scanner. So I'll be honest with you, I'm pretty proud of it. I'm pretty happy with it. A little slow on the readings, a little slow, so there's some lag time. So if you were trying to diagnose something really pesky, they might trip you up, but what I would probably do in that case is just single PID at a time, and then you would be able to see what's going on there. I guess that'll do it for today, my friends. I'll leave a link to where you can get one of these things. And thanks to Mucar for sending this my way. I do want to remind y'all, if I didn't think this was a quality tool, you'll never see this video. But I think it's a pretty decent little setup there. So something to consider. Till next time, my friends, take care.